Episode 2, America and Japan, The First Clash. Studio microphone, voiceover script. This is the story of a day that changed the world. A day when East and West collided. A day when Japan struck the United States and awakened a giant. Globe showing Asia-Australia background. Japan's ambition and America's power. At the end of the 19th century, Japan was a small, isolated island nation. For centuries, ruled by samurai lords and emperors, cut off from the modern world. But then came the Meiji Restoration, a revolution that transformed Japan. In just a few decades, Japan adopted Western technology, modern armies, industries, and battleships. It shocked the world by defeating Russia in 1905, the first time an Asian power crushed a European empire. Now, Japan dreamed of something bigger, an empire across all of Asia. China, Korea, Southeast Asia, all within its reach. But Japan had one problem: resources. It had steel, but not enough. It had industry, but no oil. And without oil, the war machine could not run. Where was the oil? Controlled by one nation, the United States of America. Balanced scale, rising tension. By the 1930s, Japan was expanding into China with brutal force. The United States condemned these invasions. Soon, America cut off steel and oil exports to Japan. For Japan, this was a death sentence. Its navy had only a few months of fuel left. Japanese leaders gathered in secret councils. One man, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, spoke firmly. If we fight America in a long war, we cannot win. But if we strike first, with one crushing blow, perhaps we can break their will to fight. Thus, the plan was born. A surprise attack on the U.S. Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor. Sunrise the calm before the storm. December 7th, 1941. A peaceful Sunday morning in Hawaii. The sun rose gently over the Pacific waves. The harbor was calm. Massive battleships of the U.S. Navy lined the waters. American sailors lived their ordinary lives. Some were writing letters home. Some were preparing for church. Others were cooking breakfast or playing cards. They believed the war was far away, in Europe. They felt safe. They could not imagine that, at that very moment, 6 Japanese aircraft carriers were sailing silently across the Pacific, bringing death with them. Fire the attack begins. At 7:55 a.m., the roar of engines shattered the morning calm. At first, some thought it was just training. But when they looked up, they saw hundreds of planes, marked with the red rising sun of Japan, diving from the sky. The first bombs fell. Explosions ripped through the harbor. USS Arizona was struck. A massive fireball tore the ship apart, killing more than 1,100 men instantly. USS Oklahoma capsized. Over 400 sailors were trapped inside, pounding desperately on the steel hull as water swallowed them whole. Battleships and cruisers burst into flames. Airfields were destroyed. American planes never even left the ground. Smoke filled the sky. Flames rose higher than the masts. Men screamed, leapt into the sea, only to be consumed by burning oil that spread across the water. It was hell on earth. Drop of blood, human stories. History remembers numbers. But behind the numbers were men, women, and families. A young sailor searched desperately for his brother. He found only his cap floating on the waves. A nurse worked tirelessly, her uniform soaked in blood, trying to save hundreds of wounded men. A pilot scrambled to his aircraft, took off under fire, only to be shot down moments later. In just 2 hours, America lost more than 2,400 lives. 8 battleships were sunk or crippled. Hundreds of planes destroyed. It was the greatest military disaster in U.S. history. Japan's miscalculation. Japan celebrated. Its leaders believed they had broken America's back. They thought the Americans would fear war. But they did not understand the American spirit. United States, the sleeping giant awakens. The very next day, President Franklin D. Roosevelt addressed Congress. His voice trembled with controlled fury as he declared, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. Congress erupted. The United States declared war on Japan. Factories roared to life. Men enlisted by the millions. Women entered factories to build planes, tanks, and ships. A nation once divided, now united in one purpose: revenge. Japan had struck hard, but in doing so, it had awakened a sleeping giant. Globe showing Europe, Africa, the world at war. Pearl Harbor was not just an attack on America. It was the moment World War II became truly global. Across Europe, across Asia, across Africa, the fire of war now spread everywhere. Crystal ball, what comes next? This was episode 2, America and Japan, the first clash. The day Japan struck boldly, but sealed its own fate. Backhand index pointing right. In the next episode, we will see the Battle of Midway, the turning point of the Pacific War, where fate finally shifted and the Empire of Japan began to fall.